Good morning and welcome to the Bangalore International Centre for this program in collaboration with the Glasshouse Festival by Art Mantram. We are pleased to have with us today Professor Viveka Rai, coming to us from Mangaluru. Professor Rai has been the Vice Chancellor of two universities, Karnataka State Open University in Mysore and Kannada University, Hampi. He was Professor of Kannada and Dean of Arts Faculty at Mangalore University and guest professor and chair of Indology at the University of Würzburg in Germany. Professor Rai has been doing research on Tulu since 1970, for 50 years. And he tells me that this month is also his 50th year of university teaching. He has written 30 books and edited another 20 books on the subject of Tulu. Among them are the Siri Epic, as performed by Gopala Nayaka, in collaboration with Laurie Honko, which is a translation of this oral epic, the Tübingen Tulu manuscript with Heidrun Bruckner, where they edited and translated two South Indian oral epics collected in the 19th century. His PhD dissertation has been widely read. It was published as Tulu Janapada Sahitya. He has also been involved in several oral history research projects in Tulu, in Dakshina Kannada and the Western Ghats, and the preservation and publication of manuscripts. His talk today is titled Tulu Poetry, Oral and Literary. Professor Rai.
Thank you so much, Pratiti. Good morning to everybody. I'm very pleased and honored to be amongst you to deliver a lecture on Tulu poetry and Tulu written poetry. It's my mother tongue. Tulu, a language. It is a language of the coastal region of Karnataka state. Formerly it was called as Tulunadu, later as South Kannada, and now at the present it is in a way spread over three districts of two states, Dakshina Kannada and Udupi districts of Karnataka state, Kasaragod district of Kerala state. Formerly, all these areas were in one region. It was called as Tulunadu. Later, when British came, they called it as South Kannada. Tulu is a language belonging to the Dravidian family of languages. Now, many people know about Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, and Malayalam. Tulu is also one of the important language belonging to the Dravidian family. As the linguist of Dravidian languages, they have done research about this language. M.S. Andranov, a Russian linguist, and some Dravidian linguists of Tamil Nadu, they say that Tulu is a language which has originated from the Proto-Dravidian family about 2000 years back. And Kannada, Tamil, and Tulu were, in a way, they were originated from the Proto-Dravidian family. Though it was about 2000 years having that antiquity, Tulu was mainly a language of oral tradition. The reason is that this coastal Karnataka area was ruled by, from the beginning of the Christian era, by Kannada rulers. First, in the beginning, it was Alupas from 2000 AD to 14,000. Then a brief period of Hoysalas. Then the medieval period by Vijayanagara kings. Then for a short period by Keladi Nayaka kings. All these kings were the Kannada speaking rulers. So naturally, the language of this coastal Karnataka for administrative purpose was Kannada, but Tulu was the language of the people who were living in this coastal region. And as we have seen this language's development, it is more than 40 number of communities, they have Tulu as their mother tongue. I don't want to give the list of that one because there may, some of the names I may miss it. It's 40, now more than 40 number of castes or communities are having Tulu as their mother tongue because it was the language of this region. Later on, people from 16th century onwards, people came from Goa, Konkani speaking Gauda Saraswata Brahmins, Konkani speaking Roman Catholics, and also later Marathi speaking people, Chitpavans and Marathi people, and these Havyaka Brahmins of Kannada dialect, Gauda or Arebase to Sulya area of it's also from 16th, 17th century. And also Muslims having a Byari language, of a unique language of the region. So there are Byari, Konkani, Marathi, Chitpavani, Malayalam, and different dialects of Kannada are spoken in this region. But the interesting fact is that people, those who are having their mother tongue other than Tulu, also, when they intercommunicate with other communities, they speak in Tulu, not in their mother tongue. If a Havyaka Brahmin speaks with a Muslim Byari, they will speak not in Kannada, but in Tulu. A Gauda Saraswata Konkani, when he speaks with a Marathi person, they will speak in Tulu. So, as far as the census is concerned, it's only approximate. It may be about, inside this region, it may be about 50 lakhs. But if we consider the diaspora who have been migrated from this area to Bangalore and formerly to Mumbai, then to Gulf countries, UK and America, Singapore, Australia, it may be more than 75 lakhs of people who speak Tulu language. But since it is an oral language, since I am confining my lecture to Tulu poetry, I will restrict to first, I will start my lecture on the oral literature, or we call folk literature. Among this folk literature, it is long epics. They are called Pardana Varsandhis. Pardana Varsandhis, long epics. They are long, not only in the length, but even content also. They were on par with the oral epics of the world. It may be European, or it may be the African, or even Indian also. We can compare with them. There are hundreds of such oral epics in Tulu. Many were collected, some were yet to be collected. But for the sake of today's lecture, I will recite some portions from an epic called Siri epic, where it is a woman-centered oral epic. There is another male-centered twin heroes, it's Kotikene epic are there. And this Tulu area is very much popularly known for the deification of the local deities. We call Daiva or Bhuta. It may be Kalkuda, Kallurti, Kodadabbu, or Babbariya, Jumadi, and also Panjurli. And also many royal deities are also there. Maybe hundreds of deities are there. Even now the performance of they call Kola and Nema, they are performed even now in Tulu area. And among these Bhuta Pardhanas, they are mainly a kind of stories. It is regarding the genesis, or the origin, or the birth of the Buddhas and their dissemination, and their kind of many times their travels, their miracles, and how they establish in different places of Tulu Nadu. It's a very interesting thing. But this Siri epic is an epic which has a kind of it's one of the first woman-centered epic, and also it is not only woman; it's a kind of feminist epic, because the woman protagonist, her name is Siri. She protests against the male kind of dominance, and she protests against her husband, who was a debaucher. She protests against the village authority, a male-centered authority, who deprive a woman her shares in the landed property. So there are lots of things are there, but it's as an epic also. It is very interesting. Professor Lauri Honko of the University of Turku, Finland, his wife Aneli Honko, myself and my colleague Chinnappa Gowda, we 4 scholars, we worked with this epic for about 8 years, and we collected this epic from a singer called Gopalanayaka, and then we transcribed it, and then we translated it. It's about 16,000 lines, one of the nearer to any of the world epics. Now I will just recite some lines from this epic. Only some lines. My singing will not be as loyal to that of the original singer, but I can just give a clue that how it was sung. Tambilo patta parakke didiyeru ajjeru lokanada salakku pundi panavu eregu ಬಂಗಾರಿನ ಬಾಲೆ ಬಳ್ಳಿನ ತೊಟ್ಟಿಲು ಯಾನು ಪಟ್ಟ ಪರಕ್ಕೆ ಒಪ್ಪಿವೆ ಎಂದು ಪಂಡದು ಅಜ್ಜೇರು ಕೈ ಮುಗಿಯರು ನಾನವೋ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಾರಾಯಣದೇ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಾರಾಯಣದೇ ಪಂಡಿ ನೇಲೋಡು ಪಾಡಿ ನೇಲೋದ ಬಲ್ಲಿಡು ಪತ್ತದೇರು ನಜ್ಜೇರು ಮುಂಡೂಂದು ಪಾಡ್ಪಾದೇರು ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಜ್ಜೇರು ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಜ್ಜೇರು ಪಾಡಿ ನೇಲೋದ ಬಲ್ಲಿಡು ಸತ್ಯಮಾಲೋಕಂದ ಸಿರಿನಿಗು ಪತ್ತದು ಪಾಡಿ ಮುಂಡುಗು ಪೊರ್ತು ಓಡೋಗು ಬತ್ತಾದುಂಡು ಅವಳು ನಾರಾಯಣ 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 ಓ ಒರಂಬೋ ತಿಂಗಳು ಒರಂಬೋ ದಿನ ಒರಂಬೋಗಳಿಗೆ ಅದು ಬತ್ತುಂಡು ಸತ್ಯಮಾಲೋಕಂದ ಸಿರಿಗೋ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಾರಾಯಣದೇ తెలివుల్ల మోనేడు సత్యమాలోకంద సిరి పులివుల్ల బేనేడు పేతి పదిమాన పోపెరు సత్యమాలోకంద సిరియే సత్యమాలోకంద లితియే సత్యమానాపుರದ ಎರಮನೆಡು ಜನನ ಮರಣಂದ ಭೂಮಿಡು ಸತ್ಯನಾಪುರದ ಎರಮನೆಡು ಆನುಬಾಲೆನು ಜನ್ಮ ಪೆರಿಯೇ ಸತ್ಯಮಾಲೋಕಂದ ಸಿರಿಯೇ Oh Narayana Narayana. Now I will read the translation which we did in that book. To Lokanado place a handful of money today, a golden child, a silver cradle. I shall fulfill the sudden woe. Thus Ajjeru, the grandfather, holding his hands now, Ajjeru is saying, Narayana Narayana De. The spoken tongue just set in the throat. Ajjeru made Siri of Satyamaloka hold the hung rope, made her kneel down. Ajjeru made her to kneel down. While holding the hung rope to Siri of Satyamaloka today, while kneeling down, the time came, Narayana, 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 9 months, 9 days, 9 moments became completed by Siri of Satyamaloka. With smiling face, Siri of Satyamaloka, in pangs of pain, a delivery delivered Siri of Satyamaloka to in Satyamanapura palace, in the land of birth, land of death, in Satyanapura palace, she gave birth to a boy child. It's only a short piece which I recited. There are lots of such epics, oral epics in Tulu, very rich, maybe more than hundreds. And one more genre, there are lots of genres in Tulu oral poetry. One more genre is called Kabita. Kabita means it is a work song, especially in traditional Tulu society. It is rice or the paddy is the main crop and cultivation of paddy in the paddy fields. And while planting the paddy seedlings, it is a group of women, they will do that. It's a women's song. It's a work song and women's song. They, in a group, there will be a leader woman. She will be singing the main lines, and the other women, as a chorus, they will sing the chorus line. And it is very interesting because irrespective of caste, irrespective of positions, all women, they work in a group and they make fun of each other. It's a kind of a society which is created in the paddy field. And interesting is that this kind of singing, the content is also about women, about their jewels, about their travel to the temples, about their aspirations, everything. I will read at least a small portion of one or two kavitas. It's a paddy field song. Ravo Rao Korango Ravanden Danabe. Ravo Rao Korango Ravanden Danabe. Kaika Kaji Didla Korango. Didan Den Danabe. Kaika Ungila Dila Korango. Divan Den Danabe. Ravo Rao Korango Ravanden Danabe. Karaga Karangila Dila Korango. Divan Den Danabe. Sontagu patti dila korango, divandena danabe, ravo ravu korango, ravandena danabe, munkugu bulak dila korango, divandena danabe, obar pendu panla korango, panandena danabe, bannadi card kadatanube, aidhu bukka ravanube, bannadi card kadatanube, aidhu bukka ravanube, ravo ravu korango, ravandena danabe. Actually, it is a continuous, it is a long kind of repetitions, that one. And this is very interesting that this is connected to Korangu is crane, a bird. It says that a fly, you crane in the sky. Then it is a kind of addressing the crane. Here the crane says, what I can do without flying. So it's a kind of a dialogue system. Here, crane is symbolized for women or a woman. Fly, fly, you crane in the sky. What I can do without flying? Adorn your hands with the bangles, O crane. What I can do without adorning it? Adorn your finger with the ring, O crane. What I can do without adorning it? Adorn your toes with the toe ring, O crane. What I can do without adorning it? Adorn your waist with the waistband, O crane. What I can do without adorning it? Adorn your nose with nostril ring, O crane. What I can do without adorning it? Tell that you will go and return soon, O crane. What I can do without returning it? Fly, fly, O crane. What can I do? What I can do without flying? Here, the wish of the women is that to fly like birds. This is given an indication of women to have a kind of emancipation, and to come out of the bondage of their daily life, that one. So a bird or the crane is a symbol for women's kind of freedom or emancipation. It is also, and they also having enjoying in the paddy field. And one more, also a small portion I want to read it. It is also a kind of inner desire of the village women. Eda balamaga doji kemaira, eda balamaga. And when the lead singer sings one line, then they will repeat the chorus. Eda balamaga doji kemaira, eda balamaga doji kemaira. Oltudu puttiyeno aaye duji kemmayre, eda ballamaga duji kemmayra. Gatada mitadu puttenaye duji kemmayre, eda ballamaga duji kemmayra. Kalla panjaradu puttenaye duji kemmayre, eda ballamaga duji kemmayra. Mundodonji bulayanaga duji kemmayra, eda ballamaga duji kemmayra. Banji donji mangala ayagu duji kemairagu gattanana japperumbe duji kemaira ajje gonji mukru deepe duji kemaire eda ballamaga duji kemaira. At the end it comes very interesting that there is a kind of very implicit kind of irony. Edde gadasululla duji kemaira eda ballamaga duji kemaira. When they say this edde gadasululla kemaira, all the ladies or the women in the paddy field, they will embrace each other, they hug each other and make fun of each other. That's a very kind of very interesting feature of that one. I will give its translation is also mine. Hey, come on, dear charming bull. Hey, come on, dear charming bull. When he was born, charming bull, on the top of the mountains, he was born, charming bull. In the stone cave, he was born, charming bull. A white spot in the forehead, charming bull. White patch beneath the belly, charming bull. You should descend the mountain, charming bull. You should descend the mountain, charming bull. For every step, he snorts, charming bull. And finally, hey, come on, dear charming bull. There are beautiful young cows, charming bull. There are beautiful young cows, charming bull. The Kavita here describes a charming bull. There's and its different parts of its body, its gestures, its various actions. And at the end, the Kavita, there is a reference to the charming bull. It is hiding to catch the young cows. In the paddy field, women catch hold of each other in the as a fun, saying it is a tiger catching the cows. But really, it's a symbolic representation of the desire of the women for sexual desire, mating, and motherhood on the part of the women. So there are lots of things. This kind of it's a kind of women's song, but at the same time we can see the aspirations of the people, aspirations of the women. It is expressed in the form of these work songs. Now I think I will now switch over to the written Tulu poetry. Actually, written Tulu poetry, when we talk about it appears from 16th century. Vadiraja, a saint of Udupi, these mathas, monastery, he composed a poem. It is describing the 10 incarnations of Vishnu in Tulu. It was the first Tulu poem by a saint, Vadiraja. And also, we have got many manuscripts written in a Tulu script, and it's a Brahminic Tulu. The first was Bhagavato from the 16th century. Venkatraja Punitaya, one of our great scholars, late now, he identified Tulu, and he wrote the introduction to that one also. Then in the same script, there were many Brahminic Tulu epics were there. It is Devi Mahatme, then Kaveri, and many now were published. So it is from 16th century onwards in Tulu script, and it's different from Malayalam script, and also it's mostly about this mythological Indian mythology, Purana stories in epic style. It's a language is Brahminic Tulu. You know that in Tulu there are Brahminic and non-Brahminic Tulu are there. But actually the publication of the Tulu literature started very late in 19th century. From Germany, especially from Basel, the missionaries came to Mangalore in 1834, and they started learning Kannada and Tulu. Not only learning Tulu and Kannada, they translated the Bible and many of the hymns into Tulu language. So from 19th century, the second half onwards, we find not only the translations of the Christian religious literature into Tulu, but also printing. Printing started in Mangalore from 1840s onwards. So the Tulu books were printed, textbook was printed. The Reverend A. Manner, he composed Tulu English Dictionary and English Tulu Dictionary in 1886. And same thing, A. Manner is the first one who collected Pardhanas and published it in Kannada script. There are 21 Pardhanas. First time it was collected and printed in Kannada script. It is by the Basel missionaries. There are many translations were there. Some poems were also there. So it was a period we call missionary period of Tulu in the history of Tulu literature. Then actually in the Renaissance period in the 20th century, 1930s, it was the real kind of renaissance of Tulu literature and Tulu poetry. In Udupi, there was a kind of Tulu protagonist. His name was Paniyadi Srinivasa Upadhyaya, S.U. Paniyadi. Those who know the yesterday years of the Tulu film, he was the father of Vadiraj, Jawahar and Harini, who were then became the film actors in Kannada, his father. So he established a publication and an organization. It was Tuluva Mahasabha was organization. Tuluva Sahitya Male was it's a kind of publication for Tulu writings. He not only wrote in Tulu, he kind of in a way organized a group of youngsters to write in Tulu. Tulu novel, Tulu poetry, Tulu short story, Tulu play, Tulu research work. The Narayana Kille, Badakir Parameshwaraya, and Satyamitra Bangera, and S.U. Paniyadi, Vittal Hegde. There were so many writers at 1930 to 1939 or 40. They wrote in Kannada script, but it's a what we call the creative writing in Tulu. It was one of the, and Carnegie was the first Tulu poetry collection by N.S. Kille or Narayana Kille. Later, after 1960s, there were some attempts were there, but from 1970s onwards, there were a new trend of writing in Tulu, especially those who are influenced by Kannada literature, some progressive writers, like Amrit Someshwara was one of the major writers. He was very progressive writer. He is now 85 years old, and now also he's writing his Tulu and Kannada writings. And it was the period 1970 onwards. It was the kind of writing about Tulu land, Tulu language, and also social issues were also there. And one of the major writers at that time was Mandara Keshav Bhatt, who composed in 1984, I think. Yeah. Composed Mandara Ramayana. It was the Tulu Ramayana, 1987. Sorry, 1987. It was Mandara Ramayana was composed by Mandara Keshav Bhatt. Interesting is that Mandara Keshav Bhatt's mother tongue was not Tulu; it was Marathi. But he was a very good Tulu scholar, and he composed Mandara Ramayana in the ambience of Tulu land. There you can see all the plants, the rituals, culture of Tulu land are in a way incorporated in Ramayana, which he has composed. It is one of the major first classical epic in Tulu is Mandara Ramayana. And one more thing is that the Tulu has been flourishing in Yakshaganas. From 1960s onwards, there are lots of Yakshagana troops were in a way composing and performing, staging the Yakshaganas like Koti Chennaya, Tulnada Siri. The Pardana texts were in a way composed as Yakshagana texts, and they were in a way performed in the stage. They were very popular. So in a way, the dissemination and spreading of Tulu was one channel was at the time in the 20th century, 6th and 7th decades was Yakshagana, and later it is theatre. Tulu was also very popular in regional level, local level on Tulu plays or Tulu dramas, Tulu in the theatre. So Yakshagana and his Tulu play dramas made Tulu as the language of the literary people also, language of the educated people also. But later on, we can find many scholars, women writers and Dalit writers also. They wrote with the progressive ideas of the period, like Sunita Shetty, she is from Mumbai, and Leelavati, Atradi Amrita Shetty, Jyoti Chelaru, Catherine Rodriguez, Usha Pirai, Pramoda Suvarna. There are a band of women writers for different periods. Some are still very active writing. So it was a women's aspirations, when we can say feminist type of writings also there in Tulu. And same thing, some Dalit and progressive writers like Ganesh Amin, Raghu Kidu, Srinivasa Karkala, Kuchala Nagappa Gowda, Kandige, Shashiraja Kaur, Vasanta Kumar Perla, and Chennapalike. So there are some people and even some Muslim writers also, they wrote in Tulu. So it was still, one can say that if I can count, there are about 250 poets in Tulu. It's for such a language of confined to such a small region. Its number is very encouraging. 250 Tulu poets are there. Writers, of course, there are more. Researchers are more that one. And now I will switch over to reciting 3 poems of the modern times, and I will read first in the Tulu language, then its translation also. For these translations, I have dependent on the book. The name is Ladle in a Golden Bowl, translation of Tulu poems. This is the book Ladle in a Golden Bowl, translation of Tulu poems by Professor B. Surendra Rao and Professor K. Chinnappa Gowda. Both were my colleagues in the Bangalore University. Professor Surendra was history professor. Professor K. Chinnappa Gowda was Kannada professor and my colleague. Unfortunately, a few months back, Professor Surendra Rao, he expired, that one. But he did excellent work in translation. I'm using this translation for getting this Tulu poem which I am reciting. One of the major poets in Kannada, his name is Kayyara Kinyanri, who lived exactly 101 years, and he expired 2 years back. He was a very strong supporter of from Kasaragod of Kannada, and also a good writer in Kannada, poet Kannada, but he composed in Tulu also. This collection is called Ennappe Tuluappe, means my mother is Tulu mother. And one of his very popular poem, I am reading only a few stanzas from that. It's very good for singing, but I can't sing it, I can just recite. Etu porluda basena matulu, Sara esalda tamare, a lotus of 1,000 petals. Sara esalda tamare is the title of the poem. Etu porluda basena matulu, Sara esalda tamare, Pandi baid kendi kebitu, Urkund amrutada nure nure. Pandi baid kendi kebitu, Urkund amrutada nure nure. Appe peruda oppa jattudu, maitu manasidu dinjindu. Appe peruda oppa jattudu, maitu manasidu dinjindu. Nidre kanatilla appe patero. Jivo de soro kerundu. Nidre kanatilla appe patero. Jivo de soro serundu. Ettarettara gudde beritu. Nilo neeruda kadalu baritu. Kalame Kammenada Unji Kando. Kalame Kammeno, it is a kind of crop. Kalame Kammenada Unji Kando, Purlu Dinchina Bumi Undo. Mitta Sorgada Petta Kanji, Tilua Nadu Battundunji, Satya Puttera Badukagadu, Nitya Untu Jagetudu. And I will come to the end. Good day area. No, the Tulu people, what they did? They climbed the mountain and they went out of Tulunadu. They surpassed the oceans, went to beyond the oceans. Good day area. Kadalu dantiru, Durada Urugu poyeru. Good day area, Kadalu dantiru, Durada Urugu poyeru. Olu padu base vanje, Akke Anna Pande. Wherever they go, they say Akke Anna. Akke means elder sister, Anna means elder brother. Budugadeda Siri Bulpu Tojindu. Budugadeda Siri Bulpu Tojindu, Gandhi Tapasada Punyodu. Deso Deddeg, Basa Deddeg, Deso Deddeg, Basa Deddeg, Benadu Namanamo, Samamandag. Yetu Porluda Basena Matulu, Sara Yasalada Tamare, Pandi Baid Kendi Kebitu, Urkudu Amrutada Nure Nure. I will read the translation which Surendra Rao and Chinnappa Gowda did it. A lotus flower of 1,000 petals. How charming is our Tulu tongue. How charming is our Tulu tongue, a lotus flower of 1,000 petals. The mouth that speaks, or ear that hears, feel the brimming froth of sweet nectar. The mouth that speaks, or ear that hears, feel the brimming froth of sweet nectar. Mother's milk has seeped in well and true, and filled my body and soul. Her words I hear in sleep and dreams. Her words I hear in sleep and dreams, as her music pervades my soul. Against the high and stately hills, by side of blue waters of the sea, fields filled with the fragrance of rice, fields filled with fragrance of rice. Is there indeed a beautiful land like this? The cow and calf from high heavens descended to the land of Tuluvas to rear the good Satyaputras here and stayed here forever. Tuluvas went beyond the gods and seas. They went to faraway places. Wherever they are, the same tongue they speak, addressing them Akke, elder sister, or Anne, elder brother. An auspicious light of freedom is seen. Kayyara Kinyanre was a Gandhian, he was a freedom fighter. An auspicious light of freedom is seen as reward of Gandhiji's penance. As reward of Gandhiji's penance. For the good of our nation and language, we all shall toil to enrich our soil. We shall all toil to enrich our soil. This is the translation of Kayyara Kinyanare's poem, Ennappe Tuluvappe. Now I will recite one poem of Amruta Someshwar. He is one of our major Tulu poets. And interesting is that Amruta Someshwara's mother tongue is also not Tulu. His mother tongue is a Malayalam dialect called Moya Malayalam. It's a Moya Malayalam. But he has written many books, poems, translations in Tulu. He is a poet of reformist and progressive. He now, in this poem, Pagelu Mailige, that is impurity at daytime, he here criticizes the priestly class who discriminate about caste, who discriminate about this social kind of hierarchies. I will read first in Tulu. Seemenda Devasthanada Margilu Dittalu Ponnorti, Seemenda Devasthanada Margilu Dittalu Ponnorti, Devasthanada Madi Mandelu Tuter Yeto Sarti, Devasthanada Madi Mandelu Tuter Yeto Sarti, Pagilade Jatiya Sutako, Pagilade Jatiya Sutako, Illudu Mukeda Kondato, Pagilade Mailige, Rated Mallige, Kandato. Pagiladu Mailige, Rated Mallige, Kandato. Devasthanadu Dano when you Uchayo, a Punnulani, Bhakti de Battal, Arivana do Putarain Parandulene. A Punnulani, Echabatal, Bhakti de Battal, Arivana do Putarai Parandulene. Jodi to the Melane Banagatuye, Pujadayalene. Jodi the Melane Banagatuye, Pujadayalene. Made Rattuna Birsid Kaliki, Kucheni to the Kulon. Made Rattuna Birsid Kaliki, Kucheni to the Kulon. Area Jatida, Niti the Katuna, Mirdina Batina Sule. Area Jatida, Niti the Katuna, Mirda Batina Sule. Gunda the Dever, Brastayr, Che, Setuna Madi Ankla. Nadapudepidai, Kaikar Kannig, Kedaunik. Abba Sorku, Anganada, Dunkere, Nikaina, Sek, Endala Punno, Malayind Kanda, Endala Punno, Malayind Kanda, Himpurantu Mone, Kaita Arivana, Kardade Kankane, Burundu Tantane. Alpanpal, Devera Sadru Muttagu Batana, Mailige Andate, Devera Sadru Muttagu Batana, Mailige Andate. ಈ ಸೂಳೆನ ಮುಟ್ಟಿದಿನ ಕೈಟ್ ನಿಕಲ್ನ ಕೈಟ್ ಹೂ ಪೂಜನೆ ಅತ್ತೆ ಈ ಸೂಳೆನ ಮುಟ್ಟಿದಿನ ಕೈಟೆ ಹೂ ಪೂಜನೆ ಅತ್ತೆ ಆಳೆನ ಪಾತ್ರ ಕೇಂಡದು ತಿಳ್ತದು ಪಂಡೆ ಪೂಜೆದಾಯಿ ಆಳೆನ ಪಾತ್ರ ಕೇಂಡದು ತಿಳ್ತದು ಪಂಡೆ ಪೂಜೆದಾಯಿ ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಮರ್ಲೆದ್ದಿ ಆಳೆನ ಮುಳ್ತು ಗಿಡರು ಜರದಾಯಿ ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಮರ್ಲೆದ್ದಿ ಆಳೆನ ಮುಳ್ತು ಗಿಡರು ಜರದಾಯಿ. It's a very ironical and very critical poem about the caste system, how a harlot or a prostitute was seen by the priestly class, that one. I will read the translation by Surendra Rao and Chinnappa Gowda. Impure during the day. Near our village temple lived there a lass beautiful, that's a harlot. The pure herds of the temple had seen her often and well. If during the day her low caste kept her out, for night pleasure they eagerly sought her out. Impure during the day, at night a jasmine flower, verily a game of deception. There was once a festival in the temple, piously stepped in, carrying a tray of flowers, coconuts and fruits. Seeing her, the priest, holy and pure, shouted with a force that would blow off the roof, and cursing her low caste thus, "How dare you violate verities of the caste and custom, you strumpet? You have polluted the deity of the inner shrine, and you have polluted us also. Get out, you! Accursed be your limbs and eyes. How dare you step inside the temple yard? Did you not feel a sense of fear?" The girl heard these words. Her eyes sparkled anger. Her face went red. The tray she held quivered and fell on the ground, and she said, "When I come here before the God, you feel polluted, don't you? When I come here before the God, you feel polluted, don't you? Are you not touching the God with the same hands that touched this harlot? Are you not touching the God with the same hands that you touched this harlot?" Hearing her and laughing at her, the priest exclaimed, "Oh, now she is raving mad. Why don't you all chase her away?" This is a short but very powerful poem by Amrita Someshwara. Actually, the last poem I will be reciting is by a woman poetess. Once she was my student, she was a lecturer in a college in South Canada. She is a feminist also. But it's a very short one, a simple one, but it has some meaning. Her name is Jyoti Cheliaru. Jyoti Cheliaru is her name. The title of the Tulu poem is Andada Bale. Bala is mainly for a girl child. Andada is addressing. Is it so? Like that. And it's a very simple one, but it looks like a poem telling to a small girl. But it has a meaning that the girl also should stand on her own feet. She should be having her own identity. Tari kandogu munji bule andade bale. It's a kind of dialogue. The mother tells to her daughter, "Tari kandogu munji bule andade bale." ಯಾರು ಸಾದಿರ್ ನಡಪಡ ತಿಕ್ಕಂದಿ ನೆಲೆ, ಯಾರು ಸಾದಿರ್ ನಡಪಡ ತಿಕ್ಕಂದಿ ನೆಲೆ. ಅಲಂಕಿ ಬೊಂಡುಡು ತಜಪ್ಪಡ ತಪ್ಪಂದು ಬೇಲೆ. You can see the rhyme and alliteration. ಅಂದದೆ ಬಾಲೆ, ತಿಕ್ಕಂದು ನಿಲೆ, ತಪ್ಪಂದು ಬೇಲೆ. ಅಲಂಕಿ ಬೊಂಡುನು ತಜಪ್ಪಡ ತಪ್ಪಂದು ಬೇಲೆ. ಕಲಂಕಿ ನೀರಿಗೆ ಸಿಡ್ಯಡ ತೆಲಿಯಂದು ನೀರ ಸೆಲೆ. ಜಾಲ ಮರ್ಗಿಲು ಎತ್ಯಡ ಮುಟ್ಟು ಜಪ್ಯರೆ ಮದಪಡ. ಜಾಲ ಮರ್ಗಿಲು ಎತ್ಯಡ ಮುಟ್ಟು ಜಪ್ಯರೆ ಮದಪಡ. ಬರವು ಬುದ್ಧಿದ ವಿರುಪಗರಿಡು ತರೆದೆರ್ತದ ಉಂತುಲ ಅರ್ತಿಪೆರ್ತಿನ ಒರ್ತೋನಲ್ಲ. ತರೆದೆರ್ತದ ಉಂತುಲ ಅರ್ತಿಪೆರ್ತಿನ ಒರ್ತೋನಲ್ಲ. ಒರ್ತೆ ಕೋಲದ ಕೆಂಡ ಸೇವೆಡು ಪಗಲು ರಾತ್ರಿಲ ಪಾರುದು ಬದುಕು ಕಟ್ಟುಲ. ಒರ್ತೆ ಕೋಲದ ಕೆಂಡ ಸೇವೆಡು ಪಗಲು ರಾತ್ರಿಲ ಪಾರುದು ಬದುಕು ಕಟ್ಟುಲ. ತಾಂಗದುಂತುದೆ ಯಾನು ಪೊಣ್ಣುಂದೆ ಪಳ್ಳ. ತಾಂಗದುಂತುದೆ ಯಾನು ಪೊಣ್ಣುಂದೆ ಪಳ್ಳ. The translation is again by Ladli in the Golden Bowl, Surendra Rao and Chinnappa Gowda. It's also a good translation. Listen, my little girl. Andade Bale. It's a good translation. Andade Bale. Bale, always a little girl. Listen, my little girl. Low-lying field offers three crops. It is a kind of proverb in Tulu and in Kannada also. Low-lying field offers three crops. Listen, my little girl. Walk not on slippery path. Every kind of expression is a kind of ironic one. It have a implicit meaning. Walk not on the slippery path. It gives no firm ground to stay. Cutting open addled coconut is waste of labor. Play not in muddy water. He will not make it pellucid. He will not make it pellucid. On reaching the edge of the country yard, forget not to descend the steps. It is important. On reaching the edge of the country yard, don't stay only within the country yard. Go out also. Forget not to descend the steps. Let learning and wisdom be your bow and arrows. This is one of the very good expression. Because men say for valor, for heroism, it's bow and arrows. He says for the girl, it's not the bow, it is the learning and wisdom be your bow and arrow, and hold your head high, yet retain love and affection. Hold your head high, yet retain love and affection. Burning cinders of Ottekola. Ottekola is a kind of a deity dance where the deity will be running on the cinders, on the burning cinders. It is called Ottekola. It's a kind of a deity festival. Burning cinders of the Ottekola. Though you ran round and round, it's very symbolic because as a girl, when she goes, grows and becomes a woman, she has to walk on the fire many times because it's walking on fires in the life. Many kind of oddities, many kind of miseries that she has to face, she has to cross. So, though you ran round and round to build your life, say you stood firm. With all this one also, you say, I stood firm. You stood firm. You girl, say you are a strong woman. You girl, say you are a strong woman. So this is a translation. So I will conclude here because this has a time kind of duration for this presentation. I'm happy that this Tulu has got a space here in this conference and these presentations also. And there is another book by the translation by Surendra Rao and Chinnapagoda, When Moonlight is Very Hot. This also it is a English translation of Tulu work songs and dance songs and also children's songs. So this is also a good translation. Actually, these two scholars did some good work for translation. And for this Siri epic as sung by Gopal Nayak, there are 2 volumes which me, Chinnapagoda, Professor Larry Hunko, and his wife Aneli Hunko, we did it. These 2 volumes we did it. So Tulu is now better known in Europe than in Karnataka, I can say, because, and also these 2 books which Madam has mentioned. This is oral traditions of South India, essays on Tulu oral epics, edited by Heidrun Bruckner and me. It's published at Germany. This is also a Tübingen Tulu manuscript. This is also interesting. When I was in Tübingen in 1992-93, I found a manuscript in the Tübingen University Library. It was in the Malayalam manuscripts, and I identified that it was in Tulu Pardhanas. I don't know how it has went to Germany. Then we transcribed it. Then we translated it. This is the publications. So I think Tulu has, in a way, not only Tulus have gone outside Tulu Nadu to different parts of India and also diaspora outside India also. So I am happy that this lecture will, in a way, induce a kind of interest among the non-Tulus to read Tulu poetry first in translation, maybe later in their original also. I'm very much thankful for giving me such a wonderful opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Rai. We learned so much about our region today, so many things which we don't know. So thank you for taking us through all the way from oral epics and Pardana, through women's work songs in the paddy fields, the advent of written Tulu with the Basil missionaries and Reverend Manner, the 1930s Renaissance, the 1970s progressive writers, and of course our wonderful local forms of yakshagana and theatre. And then women writers, 250 poets in Tulu, quite amazing, who have written on so many subjects that you described, social issues and caste and so on. Thank you for introducing us to their work and for giving us some of the resources that we can follow for the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much.